Hello, and welcome to Tales for Life. In each episode of this podcast, we'll explore a folk or fairy tale from a different culture or region and discover the life lessons, values, and morals they offer that we can use today. Join me on the journey through the magical and meaningful world of folk and fairy tales. Hello, story lovers, and thanks for joining me for another episode of Tales for Life, the podcast that journeys through life one tale at a time. I don't usually focus on happiness as a topic all by itself, but something I came across recently made me realize I've been skipping over a pretty important piece of the puzzle. So today we're fixing that. Welcome to this episode. To be happy, count your blessings. Now, before you start wondering where this is headed, let me say right up front, we're not going down a religious path here. When I say blessings, I simply mean the things, big or small, physical or not, that you can genuinely be thankful for. The things your life would actually be worse off without. Most of us grew up thinking happiness is something we can earn or unlock. I'll be happy when I get that job. I'll be happy when I buy that car. I'll be happy when I lose those extra pounds. Or when the bank account hits a certain number, or the phone gets upgraded, or, well, you know how that list goes. But the truth is, we've had it backwards this whole time. Happiness doesn't show up after the achievement. You have to have a little of it before. And the easiest way I've found to tap into that before happiness is simply to notice what's already here. Count your blessings. Can you see the beauty around you? Can you hear birds or running water? Do you have a roof over your head, food in your stomach, clothes that keep you warm? Wherever you are, whatever your day looks like, there are things in your life that matter, things that make your world better, and those are worth noticing. There are plenty of folk tales about happiness, but one I always come back to is a wonderfully over-the-top gem from Norway. Maybe that's why it sticks with me. It's a perfect reminder that happiness comes from the inside out, not the other way around. This one is called Gudbrand on the Hillside. Once upon a time, there was a man whose name was Gudbrand. He had a farm which lay far, far away upon a hillside, and so they called him Gudbrand on the Hillside. Now, you must know that this man and his wife lived so happily together and understood one another so well that all the husband did the wife thought so well done that there was nothing like it in the world, and she was always glad whatever he turned his hand to. The farm was their own land, and they had $100 lying at the bottom of their chest, and 2 cows tethered up in a stall in their farmyard. So one day his wife said to Gudbrand, "Do you know, dear, I think we ought to take one of our cows into town and sell it. That's what I think, for then we shall have some money in hand, and such well-to-do people as we ought to have ready money like the rest of the world. As for the $100 at the bottom of the chest over there, we can't make a hole in them, and I'm sure I don't know what we want with more than 1 cow. Besides, we shall gain a little in another way, for then I shall get off with only looking after 1 cow instead of having, as now, to feed and litter and water too." Well, Gudbrand thought his wife talked right good sense, so he set off at once with the cow on his way to town to sell her. But when he got to the town, there was no one who would buy his cow. Well, never mind," said Gudbrand. "At the worst, I can only go back home again with my cow. I've both stable and tether for her, I should think, and the road is no farther out than in." And with that, he began to toddle home with his cow. But when he had gone a bit of the way, a man met him who had a horse to sell. So Gudbrand thought it was better to have a horse than a cow, so he swapped with the man. A little farther on, he met a man walking along and driving a fat pig before him, and he thought it better to have a fat pig than a horse, so he swapped with the man. After that, he went a little farther, and a man met him with a goat. So he thought it'd be better to have a goat than a pig, and he swapped with the man that owned the goat. Then he went on a good bit till he met a man who had a sheep, and he swapped with him too, for he thought it always better to have a sheep than a goat. After a while, he met a man with a goose, and he swapped away the sheep for the goose. And when he had walked a long time, he met a man with a rooster, and he swapped with him, for he thought in this wise, "It is surely better to have a rooster than a goose." Then he went on till the day was far spent, and he began to get very hungry, so he sold the rooster for a shilling, and bought food with the money, for, thought Gudbrand on the hillside, it is always better to save one's life than to have a rooster. After that, he went on toward home till he reached his nearest neighbor's house, where he turned in. "Well," said the owner of the house, "how did things go with you in town?" "Rather so," said Gudbrand. "I can't praise my luck, nor do I blame it either." And with that he told the whole story from first to last. "Ah," said his friend, "you'll get nicely called over the coals, that one can see, when you get home to your wife. Heaven help you. I wouldn't stand in your shoes for anything." "Well," said Gudbrand on the hillside, "I think things might have gone much worse with me. But now, whether I've done wrong or not, I have so kind a wife she never has a word to say against anything that I do." "Oh?" answered his neighbor. "I hear what you say, but I don't believe it for all that." "Shall we lay a bet upon it?" asked Gudbrand on the hillside. "I have $100 at the bottom of my chest at home. Will you lay as many against them?" Yes, the friend was ready to bet. So Gudbrand stayed there till evening, when it began to get dark, and then they went together to his house, and the neighbor was to stand outside the door and listen while the man went in to see his wife. "Good evening," said Gudbrand on the hillside. "Good evening," said the wife. "Oh, is that you? Now God be praised." Yes, it was he. So the wife asked how things had gone with him in town. "Oh, only so," answered Gudbrand. "Not much to brag of. When I got to town, there was no one who would buy the cow, so you must know I swapped it away for a horse." "For a horse," said his wife. "Well, that is good of you. Thanks with all my heart. We are so well-to-do that we may drive to church just as well as other people. And if we choose to have a horse, we have a right to get one, I should think. So run out, child, and put up the horse." "Ah," said Gudbrand, "but you see, I've not got the horse after all. For when I got a bit farther down the road, I swapped it away for a pig." "Think of that now," said the wife. "You did just as I should have done myself. 1,000 thanks. Now I can have a bit of bacon in the house to set before people when they come to see me, that I can. What do we want with a horse? People would only say we had got so proud that we couldn't walk to church. Go out, child, and put up the pig in the sty." "But I've not got the pig either," said Gudbrand, "for when I got a little farther on, I swapped it away for a milk goat." "Bless us!" cried his wife. "How well you manage everything. Now I think it over, what should I do with a pig? People would only point at us and say, 'Yonder they eat up all they have got.' No, now I've got a goat, and I shall have milk and cheese and keep the goat too. Run out, child, and put up the goat." "No, but I haven't got the goat either," said Gudbrand. "For a little farther on I swapped it away and got a fine sheep instead." "You don't say so," cried his wife. "Why, you do everything to please me, just as if I had been with you. What do we want with a goat? If I had had it, I should lose half my time in climbing up the hills to bring it in. No, if I have a sheep, I shall have both wool and clothing, and fresh meat in the house. Run out, child, and put up the sheep." "But I haven't got the sheep any more than the rest," said Gudbrand. "For when I had gone a bit farther, I swapped it away for a goose." Thank you with all my heart," cried his wife. "What should I do with the sheep? I have no spinning wheel nor carding comb, nor should I care to worry myself with cutting and shaping and sewing clothes. We can buy clothes now, as we have always done, and now I shall have roast goose, which I have longed for so often. And, besides, down to stuff my little pillow with. Run out, child, and put up the goose." "Ah," said Gudbrand, "but I haven't the goose either, for when I had gone a bit farther I swapped it away for a rooster." "Dear me," cried his wife, "how you think of everything, just as I should have done myself. A rooster, think of that! Why, it's as good as an 8-day clock. For every morning the rooster crows at 4 o'clock, and we shall be able to stir ourselves in good time. What should we do with a goose? I don't know how to cook it, and as for my pillow, I can stuff it with grass. Run out, child, and put up the rooster." "But after all, I haven't got the rooster," said Gudbrand, "for when I had gone a bit farther I got as hungry as a hunter, so I was forced to sell the rooster for a shilling, for fear I should starve." "Now God be praised that you did so," cried his wife. "Whatever you do it always just after my own heart. What should we do with the rooster? We are our own masters, I should think, and can lie in bed in the morning as long as we like. Heaven be thanked that I've got you safely back again, you who do everything so well that I want neither rooster nor goose, neither pigs nor cows." Then Gudbrand opened the door and said, "Well, what do you say now? Have I won the $100? And his neighbor was forced to admit that he had. Yes, I warned you this story was a bit over the top, but let's not let a little 19th century humor distract us from the real nuggets of wisdom tucked inside it. The first and most obvious reminder here is that happiness isn't tied to what we have or don't have. The story ends with the spotlight on Gudbrand's wife, but notice that Gudbrand himself never falls apart over his situation. He goes from a cow all the way down to a single shilling, which is quite the downward slide. And yet he never loses his sense of contentment. His happiness was never rooted in his possessions to begin with. But the real hero of this tale is his wife. At first glance, she might seem a little unconventional, but look closer and you'll see she's modeling something incredibly wise. At every turn, she finds a blessing. Cow becomes horse? Great, now she can ride to church. Horse becomes pig? Wonderful, bacon's on the menu. Pig becomes goat, goat becomes sheep, sheep becomes goose, goose becomes rooster, rooster becomes shilling, and still she finds something to be grateful for. Even at the very end, she celebrates the simple blessing of having her husband home safe. And because she chooses gratitude at every step, neither she nor Gudbrand ever lose their happiness. And then there's that final twist. It's small, but it's the heart of the whole story. There is a reward for maintaining our happiness. For Gudbrand and his wife, it's a tidy little bonus that more than makes up for what was lost. For the rest of us, the reward is a life that, while not perfect, not effortless, not always pretty, is still deeply worth living. And the best part? It doesn't cost us a thing. We already have our blessings. Counting them simply helps us see them. As you head into your week, I hope this story lingers with you in the best way. Not as a reminder to ignore your challenges, but as an invitation to notice the good that's already woven into your life. The big and/or small comforts, the steady people, the moments that would leave a hole if they suddenly disappeared. Happiness doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It grows from the things we choose to notice and be thankful for. So take a breath, look around, and count even one blessing today. Every little bit helps, and sometimes that little bit is exactly what carries us forward. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of Tales for Life.